Okay, I'd like to call the meeting to order and to pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, Bill, you want to do roll call, please?
Dunn, here. Hunwig, not.
Here he comes.
Hunwig, here. Sotheby,
Here.
Fisher,
Here.
Bozardette.
Here.
Bozardette.
That's right. Approval of the agenda.
I move to approve.
Support.
Okay, we have a motion by Dunn, supported by Fisher. All in favor?
Aye.
Pose
Aye.
same sign. Public comment on non-agenda items. Approval of the minutes from the meeting of June 26th.
I'll move to approve.
Support.
We have a motion by Dunn, supported by Fisher. All in favor?
Aye.
Pose same sign. Bill review. A, the expense and revenue bill run for June 26th through 7/10/17.
I'll make a motion to approve the bill run from June 26th through July 10th, 2017 for a total of $17,967.74.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Fisher, supported by Sotheby. Bill, do you want to do a roll call, please?
Sotheby,
Yes.
Fisher,
Yes.
Dunn, yes. Hunwig,
Yes.
Bozardi,
Yes.
passes.
Okay, we have the year-to-date.
I'll move to receive and file 7B and C.
I'll support.
Okay, we have a motion by Dunn, supported by Fisher. All in favor?
Aye.
Pose same sign. Unfinished business. A, the 2017 budget revision. Lori?
I still have not gotten a formal number back from Oxford. At this point, though, I would like to maybe come out to the station one time in the next month, and we'll go through the budget good and see if we have any other revisions to go through. I did notice there was something charged to an account that doesn't have a budget in it, so that'll need to be corrected.
Okay,
But just kind of let's maybe go over where we're at for,
okay.
and I guess that'll be September, or August, September, so it's almost time to start thinking about next year's budget. But if we can set this aside,
I'll move to set it aside.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Dunn, supported by Sotheby. All in favor?
Aye.
Pose same sign. Under new business, insurance for OCTV. Jerome?
We've checked out two more companies for insurances for the drone. One of them was another $800, and our gentleman, Gonzati, is $875, and we did find one for the third one for $730 from Travelers and Associates. So that's the lowest fee that we have so far. If you'd like to continue checking some more, we will do it, or not, we'd be happy with the $730.
Did you put any of that information in our packet?
It just came in like Friday, literally late.
Okay, well,
Or we could table if you'd like until we get some more information for it. We still have time for the drone.
Elgin still hasn't taken his FAA test yet.
I'll make a motion to have the management bring back more quotes if they can get it, and make sure there's information in our packet for next month.
There you go.
How much liability are you seeking?
Million.
Right.
and do we definitely have to have a separate rider? Did we determine that? Or is there any coverage under our current?
We did check with the insurance company, another from Massachusetts, that said if you would tie with some of their company with the station here, you have potentially of reducing the drone cost, but that would be next year.
Okay, so with Gandolfi, there's not That's a separate rider on the policy.
But
Yeah. Part of the problem is they have very little experience with drone insurance right now. And they said next year it could be quite a bit lower, but right now it's sort of a guessing by gosh.
Well, if there was an accident and there was some property damage to somebody's garage,
Right.
we would still be covered through our policy, correct? It's just not necessarily,
you have to have the drone commission, insurance to do that.
pardon?
You have to insurance for the drone. If you get the drone hurt, you got to have this insurance for the drone
Okay, so
insurance.
it absolutely would not be covered in any way,
Correct.
shape, or form?
Correct.
Okay, I'll support Bill's motion to table till next month.
Okay, we have a motion by Dunn, supported by Fisher. All in favor?
Aye.
Pose same sign.
I do have a question. Have you used the drone for anything yet?
No. He just practiced in the backyard, but that's it.
There's a process of getting certified as, if you can believe it, a small plane pilot.
Nelton's not qualified.
Yeah.
Because it's for commercial purposes.
Right. We did 2 programs with the fire department that has a drone. We've used it twice, one for the Seymour celebration and for the mud event.
And he is a qualified small plane
Right.
pilot.
Who does the fire department have theirs covered with?
It's one of the Oxford Fire Department's
We should check
individual.
them,
Is the liability coverage that you're going to get, is that recommended by the insurance carrier, or is that something that is being directed by the village council? Or
It's not
the
village
Oxford
council.
Township?
It's our
Well,
Well,
board is saying that we
right.
need the additional
well,
coverage.
there's always a possibility, should I say, of the drone falling out of the air, or one of its rotors possibly doing damage to somebody.
Right, but I'm just wondering, is any of the 5 entities that make up this, this board, do they, are they suggesting what type of liability coverage to carry, or it doesn't matter? It's based on
My
what
board
the
doesn't know about it.
My board doesn't know about it.
Nor does mine.
Does $1 million seem like enough?
To me.
Yeah.
The million, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Terry,
Did Gandolfi make a recommendation?
please go to line.
For,
He suggested $1 million too. They've all said $1 million.
right.
There you go. Thanks, Terry.
That's what I was trying to get out.
It's,
Thank you.
a lot of these policies are written in the language of a small plane.
Right.
And possibly next year, they'll be much more specific.
Now, this is just liability. This is not, we're not replacing a drone with this.
Right,
insurance.
right.
No, the drone is not covered itself.
No.
Okay, well, if you'd come back with all this information in some kind of written report. and
Yep.
Packet, please. Okay, next, presentation by Village of Oxford.
Thank you very much for your time this afternoon. For those of you that I haven't met yet, my name is James Vitrano. I've been helping the Village of Oxford out while they're between village manager. And I'm missing one. I need one more copy. You grab one more? Susan, can I steal yours for a
Yep.
second? Because I know you best. I will leave you without.
Okay.
As I mentioned, my name is James Petrano, and I'm helping out the Village of Oxford as an interim manager while they're between village managers. What I would like to present to you this afternoon for your consideration is the village is interested in working with OCTV on possible utilization of other parts of this building. I understand this building is 3 different addresses. Some of you up there, I'm sure, know this building much better than I do in my 6 weeks that I've been assisting the village. I think the most important thing to take out of this, and I'll go through kind of what the information we have, is the village does intend to utilize or facilitate a use in this building. They would like to move forward with potentially retaining a real estate agent to explore options that they have in this building. But there's an understanding that there's potentially interest from this board, a community partnership to utilize the building. They would like to understand the level of that interest in order to understand how aggressively then they should pursue other options. Their first option would be to work with a community partner. So that, if I can sum up the purpose of this presentation, is to share with you the village interest. The village council did pass a resolution or a motion asking that I attend and provide this presentation. They also passed a motion asking that I get information from the real estate agent to help market the property. Without belaboring that any further, the goal is to understand the interest from this board before we pursue, it goes to Susan, thank you, Drew, before we pursue other options. So, any questions about the goal and the intent of me being here this afternoon? Thank you. All right, so we'll just flip through this real quick. There's an understanding that the OCTV is looking for space, and we have space available. There's actually, flip the page, there's actually 2 spaces that the village has available. One is the former township building, and again, most of you are probably more familiar with these spaces than I am. That one is in disrepair and would require some capital investment in order for it to be utilized for office space. The second space is the space utilized by the Oxford Township. I will slip the city sometimes also, so forgive me. The Oxford Township Park and Rec. That space is ready to be occupied immediately. It's been fully functional, and they are moving out in the first week of August. Either of those spaces are of interest for the village to pursue with hopefully OCTV or other individuals that might be interested in leasing space in downtown Oxford. Obviously, there's a number of different variables that we would have to understand and walk through. One of the suggestions we may have that if this board is interested in pursuing that someone be designated to go through some of those variables with the village itself. You know, how much space, is it feasible, what would the costs be, and then for proposals to be developed for both the village and for this board, as opposed to continuing to have to give reports back and forth. If an individual is designated, it may help further if there's interest in coming to an agreement. Last page. So I've kind of jumped to that throughout my presentation. What's next is we also have some information we want to gather on the building. We have some drawings of it. Certainly anyone that's interested in the lease will want to understand the clear lease. But I think what I'm most interested in saying is that the village is very open to any ideas in terms of structure or the older section or the newer section. And we really would like to gauge the temperature of this body before we take our next steps with the open market. I would ask if there's any questions. I'd be happy to receive them. I'd be happy to receive them. And of course, Council President is also here, and she can correct me if I misstated anything in my presentation.
Laura?
I guess I would like to know from management, what are your feelings as far as this location versus the other location that we've been discussing? Is there a preference?
Well, the township one is a good place with the land is free. That would be a big benefit for that one. The one over here, the older township building is a little bit small, but that's okay. The problem we have is what's going to happen if they ever sell the building here. Can we buy that lot, what that building is? Or is it just going to be a lease and they come in 6 years from now, they're going to sell it somewhere else?
Those are probably things, though, that can be worked out as far as, I guess let's just get simpler than that. In real estate, it's location, location, location.
Right.
Is this a better location, or due to the amount of traffic and people going in and out of that park? And I guess we don't need to come up with an answer right now, but...
Right.
What is the relative square footage of both units?
That's what I wanted to know.
Do you have the square footage approximately? Do we have that?
So far, we only have the floor plans for 18 West Burdick. That is part of, with this building, at one point or another, it was 3 separate.
I'll introduce Drew real quick. Drew's also helping out Oxford Township, and he has been researching the properties.
Oxford Village.
Thank you. I told you I'll mess it up. Keeps you listening. He's been helping out the village and researching to get drawings and plans for the buildings. I don't think we have a square footage available, but I'll let him answer what we do have.
So that's part of what this sort of meeting is for, is before we invest a significant amount of time trying to formulate a plan for you all, we want to know what is it that you're all looking for. In reference to the floor plan, we have a floor plan for what could be called 18 West Burdick. There's 3 separate sections of the building that can be divided off into, they had different addresses at one point or another. So we're still in the process of digging through the basement to find the exact floor plan for those other sections. The 18 West Burdick is the part of the building that the township offices used to be in. That's sort of in not as quite of good repair right now. But part of what makes all of this, an interesting idea is that it's an already existing structure. Sure that there are parts that need more renovations than others, but I don't know a significant amount about the other options you've all been investigating, other than I know, as he mentioned, there's free land involved. I don't know if there's an existing structure. I don't know any of that, and I don't know how far along that process is. So, but that's part of the appeal, if that is appealing to you all, is that this is an existing structure that may be more feasible for you, and that's why we wanted to bring this up and make it an option. So, any other questions?
Well, my question is to follow what Lori was trying to get. I guess I would need some kind of idea if, let's say, the township facility at Park and Rec is trying to propose, and this facility here where we looked at before, if everything was equal as far as financials, as far as the cost of getting into either building, if everything was equal, where would you prefer to be?
I'd say it's a good question. At Seymour Park now, we're doing probably 4 events every week for June, July, August, and September. So that's about 4 months of up there at Seymour Park, and a lot of good viewing because of the logo at the building and seeing the building there. There'll be a lot of village for people seeing us and where we are. At the village versus that, or the high school, we're going to cost us a couple of miles more to get from Seymour Park to the high school with the rest of the majority of our events. And down in the village, depends on what happens during the year. I can't remember how many we have. We have concerts in the park, and Terry's going to thank me. Go, girl.
Well, there's got to be a preference that would be preferred, one over the other, if everything being equal on the financial side of it.
But it's not equal.
But if they were.
Why are we using ifs?
Because I'd like to know where they would prefer
It's
to
either
be.
equal or it's not equal.
Well, I know, but I'd like them to have some idea where they would prefer to be.
If it were equal, I think that we would have more exposure to the community, and the community would have more exposure to us in a place where, I forget the figure that Ron used, but was it 18,000 people, 14,000 come in and out of there all the time. With the sign and us being right in the front of the park, they would see us, they would say, oh, yeah, I know OCTV, rather than I didn't know you had an OCTV, as far as exposure was concerned. Like Bill said, we travel anyhow to go to our events. We do some events in the village. We probably do more outside of the village as far as events go. And that's mileage. We're going to have mileage no matter what we do, because that's what we do. We go to the events. My concern, if you want to know, I would like to hear about parking spaces as well. I'd like that to be a consideration within whatever this board is going to consider. And also the investment in the improvements in that building, who would bear that cost. And following up on bills, who would get the return of that cost if something happened that the village decided to sell this building.
And the van.
But I like our biggest battle all the time is exposure and people knowing about us, which is growing. That was something I wanted to mention. It's growing every day. By 2 years, we should have 80,000 to 100,000 hits on YouTube based on how it grows monthly, our hits. So we're getting exposure. And to be out there where not only the community sees us, but they have tournaments out there for baseball, soccer, lacrosse, and they have the Seymour celebration out there. They're going to see us. That's free advertising for us. But anyhow, that's my opinion.
Bill?
I have a concern with the parking lot. That parking lot is in pretty bad shape.
Here? Or
Yes, the parking lot out here. I know when the township was here and Park and Rec, and they were thinking about redoing the parking lot, they were going to ask each one of us to contribute to fix it. That is a big concern of mine. I know the village isn't in the best financial shape right now, and that parking lot almost should be condemned. It's that bad. It's just one of the concerns I have.
Lori?
I thought from a conversation I had with Ron Davis that part of the building that the Parks and Rec was occupying was around 1,500 square feet. Does anybody remember how much the front part was?
I think there's more than 1,500 square feet there.
Oh, God, I can't remember. With the garage.
I think that,
No, I'm talking
talking
about
about
the space that they're vacating. I thought was around 15, but the front portion of the building, I believe, is larger, plus you have the basement storage.
right. And there's office space down there. Or when we toured, Elgin was saying, oh, this could be an office, this could be an office.
Or
This could be
dungeon.
repaired, or whatever. Well, it's all relative because the building is in bad shape. We understand that, but I think what needs to happen is that both the station, the board need to sit down and decide what it is that we want, because we've never done that. And I think that both entities need to come forth with all the correct information so that you can sit and make a decision. And I also think that it needs to be, a committee needs to be established to get all this information together. Because along the way, I've heard that they want 3,000 feet. You're not going to get 3,000 feet out of the township. I'm not sure whether you could get it over here, but it would be closer. I feel that there's just as much exposure on Burdick Street as there is out there, but these things all need to be lined up so that we can sit and discuss it intelligently rather than, somebody does a presentation and I like this and I like that, because remember, we've been at Huntington Funeral Home and everybody thought that was a great location. And then we've been over here and everybody thinks that's a great location. Now everybody thinks it's a great location out at Park and Rec. We're also looking at the empty house up by the fire department, and that was a great location. So I don't think that we as a board and the employees understand what it is that we want, really. We do a lot of talking, but I don't ever see anything down in writing that this is what's required space-wise, what we can afford to pay in rent or lease, and I think that that all needs to be written down. Plus the fact that I'm well aware that I can't participate in any discussions or take a vote, which is why we have an alternate, but I also have a legal opinion, and if we're going to go towards the township, Bill and Ed would have to be off that because they are the same thing that I am.
The Park and Rec is an elected commission. They have elected members. Mm-hmm. The only thing we have with them is they're like our stepchildren. I don't know.
Well,
we don't have.
I sought a legal opinion, and I can pass, or I can give it to everybody.
I would like to see that. I would like to see that.
But I just think that.
Did you get it from Bob Davis?
Yes.
He has a conflict of interest himself.
Well, who did you get your opinion from?
I didn't say I had an opinion.
Everybody
I didn't say I had an
the three of
opinion.
us that sit on this board have a conflict of interest if we're talking about doing
No. Bob
either
Davis
something
has a
with the
conflict
village
because
or
he's
with the
the
township.
village
park
attorney
and
and he's
rec.
also the attorney for the commission. So his opinion isn't worth nothing. I didn't say I had an opinion.
So, Lori?
We did establish a committee of Bill and Char to move forward. I would be willing to be on that if anybody else feels strongly that Bill shouldn't be on it. But I think what I would recommend doing is kind of sitting down and just doing a pros and cons for both locations. But I do want to say that I have been out on those fields Saturday mornings with, hundreds of people driving in and out. I really don't know that our little sign off to the corner on the building is going to catch anybody's attention. It's so busy through there. Any more attention than a sign out front. And then the other thing that I guess I wanted to say is we're going to be putting a couple $100,000 into that location up front. So I think we need to weigh that with, this would be less of an upfront expenditure, so then you basically can amortize out all those payments over the years. So I think we need to see how it affects us in 5 years and 10 years and 15 years, as opposed to that it's, one's a large expenditure up front, the other one is some expenditure up front, but then has rent. But I think it might be worth just doing bullet points of the pros and cons of each.
Ed?
Well, the way I look at this is whoever is on the facility committee should be the one sitting down with the individual, if we're going to talk to the village and we're going to talk to the township, let the facility committee negotiate and put together a package, what each entity wants to present or offer to us, and then we as a board vote which one we want.
The problem is, look at your facilities committee.
Well, you have, it's Bill and Sharp?
No,
There's Bill and,
Bill and Sue.
Sue?
You don't have a problem because you're not an elected official. You have no problem whatsoever.
who, me?
Yes.
Well, I'll be on the facility committee if somebody, I don't care. I just think the facility committee should be the one meeting with the entities, getting the information, putting together a whole form, a presentation to the board for each side, and then the board can make a decision based on what's presented to them, based on numbers and visibility and everything else. I mean, management's got to have some kind of preference as to where they want to go. And they seem to be skirting the question here. I don't know why, but I just, we need to start making a decision here now, because, when we started looking at this a year and a half ago, we were far away. Now it's getting to be crunch time.
Well, we still have a lease that goes through 19.
Right,
so
but it's, whatever we
it's
do,
not
it's
like
gonna
we're
take
at
some
crunch
time to, but it's gonna take some time to build these things out.
But everybody, we need some information. I want to look at a sheet of paper and see the information.
Absolutely, that's why I'm saying the
I want to
facility
know how
committee
much
should do that.
space, because I've heard varying degrees of space needs for several years. And I want all those facts down so that we can study it and see what it is.
So can I interject on your varying degrees of space and your facilities committee? Every board I've ever sat on, every board I've ever covered, if they have a subcommittee, they have an employee of the station or of whatever that subcommittee is for. You have a facilities committee, but you don't even have a station employee, and we're the ones that know what we need. I understand the budget and I understand the money. You need to have a pulse, a finger on that pulse. But you also need to know, you need to understand, and the committee needs to understand what we need, what the station needs, what the employees of the station need. So we need to have some input in the decision-making process, not just what would you prefer. We're skirting it, Ed, because we don't have input yet, and we don't know what to say. And it will weigh it one way or the other. You hear it in the meeting, and then somebody's going to pick up on that and hang on to that. But we need to be involved in those discussions, we or Bill, the manager. But to have a facilities committee with two people that don't understand what we do and what the community needs from us, doesn't make sense to me at all.
I
It
think
doesn't seem practical.
Bill and I were only supposed to be like a liaison between the Parks and Rec and this board. I don't think we were making decisions or anything.
I had a question too.
Bill?
You know, on
Which bill?
this bill?
You, Bill Dunn.
Oh, okay, you're the man.
You know, whatever way this goes, you know, here in America, those with the most votes wins. No matter which way we go, whether we stay here or go out to the township, the decisions should be made sooner than later. It shouldn't hang around and make a decision next spring, but we should be able to make it here in the next month or so. The quicker, the better, for the village's sake and for the cable commission's sake. Bill?
Bill?
Yeah, I'm careful how to talking about this, but when you're talking about the township and the village and Addison Township and Leonard, 80-plus money of our money comes to township. If we're going to get them upset, somebody over the township, we lose our money, we're dead. So debate that negotiation when you're talking about the village and the township.
I will tell you on behalf of the township, of course, it's only my opinion, that we will never blackmail anyone. We would never use our voting, you know, our donation of money to coerce, you know, something to go our way.
Okay.
Well, I guess I'd like to propose that we redo the facilities committee and have Shar and Lori be on it. And then somebody from the station, it should be the station manager, I guess. And
I'll
you
support
guys
that.
gather all the facts up, square footage, costs, all the other things, and come back. What, do you think you can get that done in a month?
If the information.
I'll support
for
the
this
discussion.
is available.
Do you guys think you can get that done in a month, or do you want 2 months?
As long as you're going to work, I don't really want to come out and measure. So as long as somebody's going to give us the measurements.
Right.
And the
Well, we can give
information.
you everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have,
I'd come in here with a tape and give you the measurements.
we've got the report that we had done a year or so ago, of the things that need to be corrected. You've got copies of that.
Yeah, we're in the process of finding all that information right now. With the transition, it's there's a learning curve to it, if you will. James is relatively new here, as am I. So we're figuring out, we can get that information for you. It will be helpful to know, what you all are looking for, as well as a kind of tailor specific requirement. We'll give you everything we got, but in a shorter time frame, if we can't find everything, what are the specific things that you need to know? Obviously, the focus of what we try to provide.
So do you think you can do that in a month?
I think so.
Okay, then I'll say a month.
I do have a question, just so I have clarification. Is the facility that were previously housed the township and the Parks and Rec, are those areas available for sale or for lease only?
I think for lease only at this point in time.
Okay.
That'd be the worst thing you could do, is to break up this building.
But I would say that,
Limit any chance.
Well, I'm just want to make sure.
right,
have
I
that
don't think the
understood.
village council has any intention of selling this property. I'll put it that way. But
That's
that's
fine.
the current council.
Okay.
10 years down the road, I have no idea. I hope I'll be enjoying my retirement.
No, I guess what I'm asking is the facility, those facilities available for purchase by the TV station or lease only?
And that should be something that they find out.
Okay.
I'm giving you the best answer. So I made a motion, a month. All in favor?
Aye,
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Who supported that?
Well done.
I did for discussion.
Okay, committee reports. Anything on technical? Personnel? Facilities? Managers report?
Well, I was going to talk about Oxford High School graduation, but it's just something more of a situation. I didn't talk to the school, but they had some problems with graduation 2 years in a row, so I'm going to pass on that part. But back to the viewers, continue to grow, like Terry just said, we're 42,000 halfway through the year, be over 85,000 this year. That's amazing how far this has gone in the last 4 years for the station, our crew. I'm very happy these employees that we have, they're amazing. Terry, by the way, has been asked to be on the media advisory panel at Detroit Working Writers Conference in September. And also that busy girl has been asked to be a judge for the Philco Physical and Media Arts in October. Good job, Terry. And you said something about Kyle?
Yes. Kyle won an Emmy. I don't know if anybody. I should just go over there. I don't know if, did they put in the paper, Connie? So Kyle did a project with a former manager, after the former manager left, and he's part of an Emmy. He won an Emmy. 26 years old, and he won an Emmy. So congratulate Kyle this year, and it's for life. Yeah, we're pretty proud of that. We have a lot of talent there at that station.
That's the manager report, done.
That's it.
Commissioners comment? Ed?
I didn't have any, I just want to, Emmy, where does the Emmy come from?
It's a state
Yeah.
Okay.
broadcasting.
All right.
Broadcasting. That's like amongst channel 7247 up.
Okay.
He's right up there with them. They get Emmys.
No comment.
Lori?
No comment?
Sharon?
No comment?
Bill?
Does that get him a raise, or does it make it harder to fire him?
Hard to fire him, yeah.
Congratulations to him.
Yeah. That's my comment, too. Congratulate him. I saw him after he got it, but make it from the board.
Okay.
Public comments?
I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion by Dunn, supported by Sotheby. All in favor? Opposed, same sign.